Hey there guys! Today I'm filming a video all about gender identity. I just want to say at no point in this video am I telling anyone how they have to act. I'm not telling you how you have to feel. I'm not trying to put out these strict ideas of gender roles and gender norms. I'm mainly just talking about my journey with tooling out and discovering my own gender, kind of as a way to help inspire other people, to maybe help people figure out a little bit more about themselves. So I'm not trying to say I'm giving you answers to questions. I'm just talking about my experience and hoping that maybe some of the things that I have gone through and some of my thoughts and feelings could possibly help you. So I have recently, in about the past year or so, kind of figured out my gender identity, and that is that I am non-binary. And when I say that, I basically mean that I don't really identify with the strict kind of way society or certain people tries to label people as male or female, because I don't believe there are just two genders. I personally believe that gender is a very vast spectrum. I feel like most people fall somewhere on that spectrum, but I don't believe it's as rigid as you are this one thing or you are this other thing. I think it's very fluid. Something that tripped me up for a very long time was the not knowing. I knew that I felt uncomfortable with the kind of idea of a two-party system, male or female, but I couldn't figure out where I fit on the gender spectrum, and that made me very upset, because I felt like you should know this, you should know yourself, you should understand this, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to figure out the answer to this question as soon as possible. But the question of, where you fall on the gender spectrum, it's not a simple question. It's not what's your favourite colour, it's not 2 plus 2 equals what? It's a very big question. So it's going to take a lot of time and also a lot of life experience for you to figure out how you feel. Just because you are you doesn't mean that you completely understand everything about you. And I personally believe that people are growing and changing all of the time, so it's actually kind of hard to get a handle on your own gender identity and your identity as a whole when you are growing and changing and shifting all of the time. The thing that really helped me was something my father said, and he didn't say this about gender identity, he actually said this about exams in school. He would always say to me, if you get stuck on a question, there's no point staring at that question for hours on end and racking your brain, because you're not going to get it. You're working too hard to figure out the answer and it's not going to come naturally to you. So he would always tell me, if you get stuck on a question, skip ahead to the next question, come back to that one when you're ready. And that kind of made me realise that I am stuck on this question. Who am I? Where do I fall on the gender spectrum? And then it made me think, this question doesn't have to be answered right now. I have, and we have, so much time stretched out ahead of us to figure out who we are as people. So you don't have to answer the question of where you fit in the spectrum right now. Put that worry out of your mind. Just focus on being authentically, happily you. And if you one day figure out where on the spectrum you feel most comfortable, that's great. And if you never figure that out, understand that you also don't have to have a label if you don't want to. If a label is something you want, then you can take some time, take a journey of self-discovery and inwards reflection, but if it's something that isn't that important to you, you don't have to spend all of your time looking for it. Another thing with gender that I feel like trips a lot of people up is the idea of performance. A lot of the time, people in our lives, as well as our society, wants us to perform our gender in a certain way through certain actions that they have handed down and deemed appropriate for our gender. Pretty much all media that is being focused towards women is telling them to act a certain way, dress a certain way, do certain things, work certain jobs, hold certain positions and stations, and if you do all of those things, you are told that you are performing femininity correctly. And, you know, the same with men, it's told, you know, look like this, be strong, be the leader, be the hunter-gatherer, blah, blah, blah. And if you do all of that, you're performing masculinity correctly. And I believe there's so many people on this planet and we are all so different. There's no one way to perform masculinity or femininity. Your gender and your expression is uniquely tailored to you. So having someone tell you how you must act to be deemed acceptable, I think is ridiculous. You don't have to act or behave a certain way to perform your gender right. You don't have to perform your gender for anyone. That being said, if some of the things that you genuinely like to do, enjoy doing, happen to be, you know, along the lines of the gender norms, if you're someone who identifies as female and you like wearing makeup, you like flowy dresses, you like to look girly, that's totally fine. It only becomes an issue when you feel you have to act that way because someone is telling you to. But if that's genuinely who you are and expressing yourself that way makes you feel happy and comfortable and good and confident, that's amazing. And I'm so glad that you found those things that make you feel brill. If you're someone who identifies as male, you love working out, you know, pumping iron, you like to wear suits, and you like to look stereotypically male because that's how you feel confident and that's how you feel good, that's great. Like I said before, it's only an issue if you feel you have to be that way because someone is telling you to. People shouldn't be telling you to do certain things in order to be you. You should just be you. So like I said earlier in this video, I identify as non-binary because I have always felt very out of sorts with the labels of male and female and the way society dictates that these people must act. I've never really felt truly like one or the other. So maybe a better term for me is gender fluid, but I kind of identify with both. So I am a biological male. I was born a biological male. I'm happy with my body. That's not the issue. It's nothing like that. It's how I feel inside, up here and here, that is very different. And I am someone who presents very feminine. I like to wear makeup. I like to wear my hair in cute braids. I often wear a lot of women's wear. That's not because I'm trying to perform femininity. It's just because this is how I personally feel most comfortable. I'm not wearing makeup because I'm trying to appear feminine or I want to be more on the female side of the scale. I wear makeup because it's fun. It's an art form and I just have a lot of fun with it and I can be a bit kooky and crazy, which I just think is really cool. And the reason I mainly wear women's wear, I do sometimes wear men's wear, but the reason I mainly wear women's wear is because I'm very interested in fashion and I like to push things. I like to step out of the box, and I feel like often with typical menswear, designers don't really step out of the box. It's this template that we've had for hundreds of years, and it's just the same thing. Whereas with women's wear, I feel like people are always pushing the envelope and doing something different and doing something crazy and interesting. So I feel like personally, I can express my kind of big creative personality through women's wear a little bit easier because designers of women's wear take the risks and go like a bit above and beyond. So it's not that I'm trying to perform femininity, this is just who I am as a person, being very genuine and authentic to myself. So yeah guys, that is all I really have to say today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if anyone is kind of going through the ringer trying to figure out their gender identity, like I said before, remember, you have all the time in the world to figure out this question. You also don't have to find the answer to this question if you don't want to. And your gender identity, while important, is just one small part of you. There are so many other things that make you you. So like, don't get bogged down in this one thing, because you're not just one thing. You are a multi-layered, multi multifaceted person. I believe inside every person we contain multitudes. So yeah, I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said before, I'm also not trying to tell people how they have to act. This is just my experience, and I hope it's helped you along. So guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If any of you guys are going through your issues with gender and stuff, you can talk to me in the comments below, or you can talk to me on my social media. I'll link all the links in the description box down below, and I will see you later. Bye!